very blessed day, everyone. Greetings to you in the name of the Father, the Creator, the Most High, Allah, Yah, Yod-Heh-Vah-Hu-Heh, Elohim, Netta, God in her modern day name, and in the name of the Lord Thoth, Melchizedek, Yehovah. This is Neophyte DAG bringing you another message. Black Christopher Columbus, I said it correctly. Black Christopher Columbus, I say. Black Queen Isabella, Black King Ferdinand, and the Roman Catholic Eagle. Their New World journey from Rome to America, where they came from Rome to America to set up the eagle in America. And this series is always taken from Job 9 verse 24, which gave us the warning that America, where the eagle shall come, will be given into the hands of the wicked eagle, who shall change up all your prophets, your rulers, and your leaders' identity to make them look Caucasian. So when I come and tell you Black Christopher Columbus, you're saying that's not true. But it is true, because the wicked has changed up all the image. And the main place that they have been doing it is in America. That's where the eagle was running wild with the paintbrush. In America, that's where it all started. New World journey from Rome to America. That's where the eagle changed location from Rome to America. This series is always taken from Job 9 verse 24, because Job was telling us the year and the month the changers were going to wipe out your entire history. Job 9 verse 24, 1924 of March. That's when the changers painted over all your image with the Racial Integrity Act, which says you were no longer there in America, and the rest of the world, you were no longer there. That's when your face was officially whited out and put over and made into Caucasian whitewash image. But we're not here to spend time on that. Just know that Job 9 verse 24 said, Turtle Island, which is America, as called by the indigenous copper-colored skin people that were living in North America, was taken over and put into the hands of the wicked, which is the eagle. He covereth all the face of all the people of color, the Shemites that were doing all the leadership, good and bad, in America. He covered them up, whether they were prophets, rulers, leaders, whomever. You no longer had any history as of 1924, beginning of the Racial Integrity Act. But he wasn't done there. He wasn't done there. In September of 1924, he passed the Sterilization Act to start sterilizing the people of color, to make sure you could not reproduce in the quantity and the quality that you wanted to reproduce. That's your Racial Integrity Act. That's your Sterilization Act of 1924. That's where it was performed, in Turtle Island. That's what you called America before the Europeans arrived. You called it Turtle Island. You also call it Earth, as called by the indigenous. You were indigenous to North America, the copper-colored skin people. But we'll get to that. So anywhere you see Earth in the Bible, it's talking about your land, North America, aka Turtle Island, because it's shaped like a turtle once you see it on the map. Take a look at the map and you'll see that it's a turtle shape. Hence, Turtle Island, which is North America, which is Earth given into the hands of the wicked. But you were there before the wicked arrived. You were there. No fussing and fighting about that. That's a given already. Verrazano voyage along the Atlantic coast put you on the land, whether in the southern region, Southeast North America, or Northeast North America. You were there, much unlike the Ethiopian. Dark of complexion, you were there, my people. No, you were not there. You were there. Job 9:24. Job 9:24. Identify who you are, the people on Turtle Island. When you match it up with Webster 1828, Dictionary of American, the originally applied to copper color skin people found on America, North America, Central America, South America, before the Europeans arrived. You were there. The Adamic seed, you were there. The first root race people, copper color skin complexion, you were there. Whether or not they want to pass Racial Integrity Act or Sterilization Act of 1924, the most I say, eagle, you shall get your time, but your time has a limit on it. When you reach the limit, that's it. You're going to get cut off. So, you were in Europe as well, oh copper color skin people. You came over to North America. Create one bunch of ruckus on the copper color skin people that were in North America. Put them under pressure. Your own Shemites putting Shemites in slavery until you got supplanted by the Caucasian, and then the Racial Integrity Act came in, took all your identity, washed you away as if you weren't in North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean, but you were there. Western Europe, you came over to North America. Riddles of prehistoric times put you in Western Europe, all over Europe. You were there, my people. By James H. Anderson, Dark Men of the Iberian Race. They it was who first and originally inhabit Southern and Western Europe. You were there until you were supplanted in Europe by the fairer Caucasian people. It's not fair, it's Caucasian, pale-skinned people. Fear doesn't mean it's a Caucasian person all the time. It means that they don't have blemish on their skin. It's not full of smallpox blemishes. That's the meaning of fear, giving it to you as it's interpreted in text when you read these things carefully. Now, the supplanting occurred in North America, 1924, officially when it kicked in. It started out as a World War I, but we'll get to that in another message. You who were in Basque, in Spain and France, you were there. You were the dark Welshmen and Scots, you were there. You were the Black Celts, you were there. You were in the Shannon River, the Black Celts in Ireland, you were there. Same kind of man in Britain, the 10 tribes, as we have identified, that were deported by Shalmaneser I to Britain, the island called by the Romans Britain. You were there. You migrated after and come to North America and cause all kind of trouble in North America. The Equatine in France, you were there. So what I'm going to be telling you now is no strange news. The Basque in Spain. Where was Queen Isabella from? Where was she from? Spain. Where was Columbus from? Italy. Where was Ferdinand from? He was from Spain as well. Spent some time in Portugal, but they are the same. You were there, my people. Racial Integrity Act, which wiped you out. 1924. That's why Job said, America will be given into the hands of the wicked, and he shall create Racial Integrity Act to preserve racial integrity, to preserve his existence, because he was being undermined before that, and he snuck in and took power and made sure that any person of color became black, Negro, or colored. No more could you hold the white classification. He took that for himself and said if you weren't 100% Caucasian, you could not be classified as white anymore. It's a social status, my people. Go back to my message which talks about the creation of the social status white, and you'll get the full picture. If you were a person of color, black, Negro colored, if you claim that you were of the Indian descent, he said, no longer I'm accepting you as white. You're no longer white. Mixture of Negro, we're throwing you back into the Negro classification. That's what he did with his Racial Integrity Act. He wasn't done there. He said, whoa, we got them now the way we wanted. Now the eagle, the wicked eagle, under the Caucasian rule says, we're going to sterilize the children of Israel to make sure their seed cannot reproduce in the way, the quantity, and the quality that we want it to be. Came up with all kind of gimmicks, Planned Parenthood, all kind of things to make sure you could not reproduce. And they did the most that they could have done to make sure it didn't happen. When all that couldn't work, they turned to your food, give you bad food, so you would not be able to reproduce the way you want with the best quality of spiritual being that's needed to house that spiritual soul to merge with your spiritual body in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th dimension. That's what he did with his sterilization act. Listen, people, all that he have done is by no chance. He took your records, studied them, and know exactly and what to do to make sure that he brought you down. Read the story of Samson, and it tells you exactly what he did. Once you replace Delilah with the Caucasian race, you are right there with the true story. Moving forward, the New World Discovery cast of characters were Sephardic Jews, meaning dark-skinned people of color. The original Jew, it can't be Ashkenaz, my people. Can't be Ashkenaz. Genesis 10 verse 5, Genesis 10 verse 2 to Genesis 10 verse 5 tells you the tribe of Japhetites, which includes Ashkenaz, are the Gentile. The Japhetites are the Caucasian race of people that is well known, but we'll get to that. Financier of his expedition, Spaniards, they're from Spain. Didn't we just say the Basque from Spain? Dark-skinned people, Isabella and Ferdinand, they are from Spain. Roman Catholic Church from Italy, in a warm region. They are dark-skinned people as well. Not because you see they're all Caucasian now. You think that was the case back in those days? No, it was not. They took over, as I've been telling you, after World War I, and they cemented everything. 1924 in the United States of America. Then they became conglomerate to erase you worldwide, as given unto you in Psalm 83. That's the conglomerate that says, let's wipe them out from being a nation of people again and rule this planet. The eagle will rule until the Father said, enough is enough, eagle, time is done. Navigator, Italian, Christopher Columbus. So, people financing his expedition, Spain, Italy. Christopher Columbus is Italian as well. Roman Catholic is Italian, but they are people of color. Let's ask Benjamin Franklin. What race of people Italian are and the Spaniards are. Let's ask him. Observations concerning the increase of mankind peopling of countries by Benjamin Franklin. Item 24, which leads to one remark. The number of purely Caucasian people in the world is very, very small. And in Europe, Spaniards, Italian, French, Russian, yes, I said Russia, he was right. Swedes are what we call swarthy people. swarthy complexion people. So was the Germans too, because I have a problems with the Germans, that he said. The Palatine Boers, I have a problem with them because they can't get my Caucasian complexion. Don't let them come to the US anymore. That was his problem. But let's go back to swarthy. That's one of the words. Mark that word. Make sure it stays in your brain forever, because they use that word to mask who you are in America and in Europe. Swarthy, dark complexion person. That's who they are. So let's read again. Italians, Spaniards are dark complexion people. That's what Benjamin Franklin said. Let's move on. Let's move on. There is an example given unto you in Webster 1828 dictionary. Spaniards and Italians are more darker than the French, German, and English people. They were all dark people. But the Spaniards are more darker because they're closer to an equator zone, to a warmer zone. So they're darker. Not saying they're Caucasian. They are darker. That's what they are. But now what you're seeing wasn't what it is before 1924. Moving forward. Now we go into the logics of it, the writings of it, the scholarly text of it, because they know this up in Columbia University. That's William Z. Ripley. He is of MIT and Columbia University, writing this paper to all the dignitaries that are reading his paper, Races of Europe, a sociological study. So whoever have read this, and all the higher-ups have read this because his credentials are big. PhD of MIT and Columbia. What did he say on page 394? The English Jews, slightly lighter than the Sephardic Jew, which corroborates the story that it says Italian and Spain people, which are Jew, are darker than the English Jew. Because again, the English Jew is in a much colder climate, even though it has 4 seasons. The Sephardic Jews are particularly dark, meaning very, very dark. So there are dark-skinned people in Spain, Portugal, and Italy of the Jewish descendancy who converted to being Roman Catholic once the Roman Catholic religion was formed. Now we're gonna get to the meat of it, because this part is gonna solve all mystery about who is anti-Semitic. People, you cannot be anti-Semitic if you're of dark-skin complexion in America, because you are Semitic. You are Shemitic when you get your spiritual connection back to you. That's when you add the H after the S. But now you are Semitic. You cannot be anti-Semitic against yourself. So Ashkenaz is nonsense about people being anti-Semitic to Ashkenaz. You cannot be anti-Semitic to yourself, my people, because you are the Semite. Semites are dark-skinned people. Ashkenaz are Ashkenaz Jewish people. They adopted the religion. They adopted the custom. But they are not bloodlines of the Semites, Shemites. No, they are not. Even their own study backed that up, that they were not Semitic people. They are tapestry, patchwork, by religion adaptation. They adopted the religion and the custom. Few intermarriage, but the main body of it is adopting what they saw was there, left vacant by the children of Judah. So, no more of that nonsense apologizing for being Semitic. You are Semitic, my people. No apology to anyone who is not Semitic, because they are not. Genesis 10, verse 2 to verse 5, put them as Japhetite, put them as the Gentiles, and the Gentiles are Caucasian people, different from the Semite, which are the Shemite. Semites are dark-skinned people, dark enough of that type. And the evidence bear that out. In all sacred books that you're going to read until your eyes drop out, they are copper-colored, dark-skinned people. The Semites, the Shemites, they are copper-colored skin, dark-skinned people. They cannot be Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz is a member of the Japhetite, and he is not a member of the Shemite or the Semite, whichever one you want to choose. But you cannot be anti-Semitic against yourself. Cannot be and will never be. All those books bear out that theory that they are what? The dark type people, dark-skinned people. Thus, they are black people in your modern day description given to them in the Racial Integrity Act of 1924. Everything goes back to Job 9, verse 24. They are black people, the Semite or Shemite, whichever one. So you cannot be anti-Semitic for calling Ashkenaz that he's not a Jew. He is not a Jew. He's Jewish. Anytime you see ish is when they adopt something. They weren't the original. So Jewish, that's where he comes in. Revelation 2 and Revelation 3 gives you an identity of the Ashkenaz who say they are Jew, but they are not. But when the Most High crack open that sky, it will tell who is Jew from who is not Jew. Because at that time, if Ashkenaz isn't lighting up and getting his electron body, then he shall know that he's not the Semite, because the Semite will be lighting up when they become Shemite. The H is added when your glorious light body come down on you. Science corroborates the popular impression that modern Jews are brunette. Still come back to what? What is brunette? A brown complexion person, usually used to identify a woman, a dark complexion woman, but they throw it in here, still brown. Brown, that's the Semite race. They cannot be Caucasian and then come and tell you that because they're Caucasian and you say they are not Jewish, they are not Semites, then you're anti-Semitic. Nonsense! You cannot be anti-Semitic to a person that is not Semitic. Cannot happen, cannot be, and will never be. Ashkenaz is not Semitic. Not Semitic, not Shemitic, not Shemitic. The brown race, the copper-colored skin race, they are the Shemites, they are the Semite, and you cannot be, brown skin, copper-colored skin race, and you cannot be anti-Semitic to someone who is not Semitic. Cannot be, and will never be, ever, ever, ever be. The old eagle in Spain that financed Christopher Columbus's New World expedition. Let's jump into this. Ferdinand, the number one financier. Ferdinand was of what? Ruddy complexion. People who have been to Ruddy enough time to know that Ruddy is a person of color. But I'll walk you through the formalities, then get you to your destination. The Last Voyage of Columbus by Martin Dugard. Page 27. Ferdinand's face was ruddy. He had a ruddy face. People, we have been through this long enough to know that ruddy means dark-skinned person. That is the spell word, the trick word that's put into books to disguise who you were. That's the term that was being used back then to disguise the true identity. Now, they give you that word. But it's a ruddy red or a ruddy gold, meaning a very red copper-colored skin person, or a bright yellow person, which we call in our modern day a light-skinned person. But we'll get into that. Let's move on. Moving on, The Life and Voyages of Christopher Columbus by Washington Irving, page 51 of that book. Ferdinand again, his complexion was ruddy. So I'm going to walk you through all these ruddy formalities, get you back to your destination to know that ruddy persons always turn out to be a person of color. No matter what, the Gentile, the Caucasian come and tell you, ruddy is a Caucasian. Nothing goes like that. Nothing goes like that. Prove it with your research and your studying. Present it in your videos. Don't tell us what ruddy is anymore. The Father has woke us up to who we are. He says a light shall strike among Israel. Is there any nation now that a light is striking up? No, only the dark-skinned people of color. If the Israel that was created, do you see any light, any people of light popping up and blazing up over there? No, they're blazing up in North America. Turtle Island, that's where he lit the fire of the children of Israel, the true children of Lewis, who are coming into their spiritual consciousness. Queen, Empress, Grand Duchess, and Regent, women rulers of Europe, 1328 to 1989, by Olga S. Opfel. Page 42 of that book. Prince of Aragon and King of Sicily. So he was Italian and Portuguese and Spanish all at the same time. Ferdinand, he was good-looking youth, stocky and swarthy. That's why I told you, mark that word. It's going to be repeated over and over, but I'll always have the meaning, the definition right next to it. So no one can come and tell you swarthy is something else. Dark complexion person, if you go to Webster 1828 dictionary, the one that was in existence before the eagle took over and started to lie and whitewash all your history. He's a dark-skinned black man, Ferdinand. Not convinced? Moving on. The memories of Christopher Columbus with Stephen Marlowe. Page 137 of that book. It was common knowledge that Ferdinand and Isabella were first cousin. They're marrying cousins and cousin. First cousin. So if Ferdinand is black, what is Isabella? His first cousin. She cannot be Caucasian by this statement itself. She cannot be Caucasian, but we're going to prove it out. Papal, which is the Pope, dispensation authorized for the marriage of Isabella and Ferdinand to bring the two empires together. Ferdinand came with his empire, Aragon. Isabella came with Spain. They merged the two under the authority, the permission of the Pope, who had his plans already on how to rid himself of all the Jews that did not want to convert to Roman Catholic. But Ferdinand was what? Swarthy. Again, dark complexion person. Anytime you see ruddy, it's talking about a dark-skinned person. But I will always go deeper to prove it to you. So you know and you can believe that the Father is giving you back your knowledge of you, oh my people. Isabella, the Warrior Queen by Kristen Downey. Page 78 of that book. Ferdinand, he was darker complexion than Isabella and swarthy. There were two swarthy people. One is a little darker than the other. That's why I'm telling you. Their first cousin, she cannot be Caucasian. So no matter how much painting you see, they could paint her until they can't paint no more. She is still a person of color once the Most High give you back your knowledge, oh my people. Dark-skinned people, swarthy, back it up again. 2 times they tell you on 1 page that they are both dark-skinned people financing Columbus' expedition to go conquer other dark-skinned people. First Renaissance of a Queen of Castile, chapter 31, the first page of that book. Isabella gave birth to a female child named Joanna. Darker in complexion she was. So Ferdinand was dark, Queen Isabel was dark, so it makes sense. They have a dark daughter. Joanna. She became Queen of Spain. Later on, she was a dark-skinned person. The person that she married was also a dark-skinned man. But this is not the purpose of that message. We're staying with Isabel and Ferdinand, Spain's Golden Queen Isabel by Iris Noble, page 39 of that book. His dark skin, Ferdinand. His dark skin, Ferdinand, a black man, not a Caucasian man. No matter how much paint they put on him until their hands are tired, he's still a dark-skinned man. Page 91 of that same book. Joanna, her dark complexion face. She's a dark-skinned woman, which we already pointed out in the previous slide. Both are dark, all three of them. Ferdinand dark, Isabella dark, Joanna dark. Black people. Now the old eagle in Italy, that old eagle, the Roman Catholic that sponsored Queen Isabella and Ferdinand marriage, that sponsored Columbus expedition to the fourth part to go conquer the other Shemites that were over here, convert them to Roman Catholic at all costs. That's the Roman Catholic, the eagle. The Roman eagle. If you don't see, if you don't understand why they are called the eagle, you gotta understand it now, because anywhere you see the eagles being talked about as a person, they're talking about first the old eagle, the Roman Catholic Empire that was in Europe. The old Roman eagle, which is now the old eagle, because you have a new eagle that took charge. But during the run of the Roman eagle, didn't your father warn you that someone was gonna pop up appearing as the eagle, ready and willing to denounce the Most High, to violate all the rules of the Most High, and to make sure you violate the rules of the Most High as well? Hosea 8 verse 1. Set the trumpet to your mouth. Sound the alarm that this eagle is gonna show up. He shall come as an eagle against the house of the Lord. He shall come as an eagle against the house of the Lord. People, he shall come as an eagle against the people of the Lord. The children of Israel, Judah, Jacob, Ephraim, he shall come against you. Who sent him, I say? Who did send him? He didn't send himself. He came sent by Lucifer and the fallen angels. Now he's acting in the capacity of Esau, but he was the old eagle, the one we're talking about now, who's setting up expedition to go to a new world, to conquer Shemites in the new world. Lucifer have set him up to transgress against the laws of the Most High. Lucifer has set him up to transgress against the laws of the Most High, to tear down the Most High's covenant with the people he made that covenant with. And he also gonna trespass, violate, ignore, and do everything to counteract the laws of the Most High. Your 5 divine laws. That's why I keep telling you. Someone showed up in the new world and gave you 5 evil divine laws that were mimicking your righteous law, but they took it and corrupted for themselves. He shall come as an eagle with those 5 divine laws. Who is in your modern day time acting as the eagle, giving you all kind of evil law, unjust law, giving you all kind of bad food, taking away your community? Don't let you form yourself as a nation of people. Give you a false religion. Give you a Caucasian white Jesus as your God, your Son, and Holy Ghost, and who took away all your land and your economics, so you can't earn the proper way for yourself. He shall come as an eagle, warned to you by Hosea 8 verses 1. Though you set your nest high as an eagle in Jeremiah 49 verse 16, I'm gonna find that nest, uproot you, because you have a time limit when that nest can be set and you're comfy and cozy and merry up in that nest. But that nest is gonna be in a whole heap of mess when the Most High say, time is done. The time limit is done. Time is done. First, the old eagle, the Roman Catholic Empire that was in Europe. Then that empire moved over to North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean as a result of Columbus's expedition to the New World, as they call it. But that's the eagle for you. Roman Senatus eagle. That's the eagle, the old eagle. Why is a black head on the Roman Catholic coat of arms on their crest? Why is a black man head on their crest? Why is the head of a black person on their crest? Why? Why would a Caucasian pope have the head of a dark-skinned person on their coat of arms? Why? What sense does that make? If you're saying these dark-skinned people are less in every regard, they are nothing, they are inferior, they are this, they are that, why would you put their head on your coat of arms? For what reason would you do that? Why? Why is it on the Roman Catholic emblems all over? Every building, monument that represent the Roman Catholic, this emblem on the left-hand side is on it. The black head is on it. There, this on the right-hand side is the emblem used by the most recent popes. That's their emblem as well. Dark-skinned people on their crest, their coat of arms. Why? This is the reason why, my people. This is the reason why we go to Royal Discord, the family of George II by Veronica Baker Smith. George II was trying to make sure the Roman Catholic did not take over England at the time that he was ruling. That's always been the strife in England, that they didn't want the Roman Catholic to take any religious platform in England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. As a result of that conflict, many people were shipped, deported to North America, South America, Central America, and the Caribbean because of that old religious conflict. Who wanted to stay Shemite and did not want to convert to being Roman Catholic. Page 100 of that book, it tells you. The swarthy Roman Catholics, they were black people as well, people. They were black people up to King George II time. They were black. That's why he said swarthy Roman Catholic. When you match them up with the English Jews, which are slightly lighter, they always make a big deal in Western Europe about who's a lighter shade of darkness than who's a darker shade. And if you're from Italy and Spain, they normally make sure they mention to you that you are much darker than I am. They call you swarthy to show that you are darker than the shade of the England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, French, German Jews are dark people. So that's where the swarthy Roman Catholic term came from. That's who they were. Dark-skinned people. That's why dark heads of people are on the crest, because it was originally set up by dark-skinned people that were Shemites that converted under the instruction of Lucifer to set up Roman Catholic religious system to govern for self. That's what it's set up for, to take rulership and power for itself and subject everyone else to being a slave to that religious order. So that's what the eagle did in Europe, and that's what the eagle brought to North America. Swarthy as ever, dark-skinned people, until again in the 1924s when the Caucasians took rule of the planet and whitewashed everything. Christopher Columbus, the so-called New World explorer. So-called people were here already. The Shemites were here. There were people coming in from Britain, Ireland, Scotland, Wales that were coming to North America. There were people coming from Africa in a trade route with North America as well. So they were here already exploring before Columbus. The Last Voyage of Columbus by Martin Dugard, page 41 of that book. In 1492, a friend of Columbus described him and said, his face is ruddy. His face is ruddy. Man, it doesn't look good for Columbus to be a Caucasian right now. Starting out on a bad foot. He's ruddy. King Ferdinand was ruddy too, right? That's why I put it next to it. Page 27 of that same book said Ferdinand had a ruddy face and he turned out to be black. What did you think are the odds? Columbus is going to also be black. 100% odds. He's going to be a person of color as well. Doesn't look good for the Caucasian claim. The 4 Voyages of Christopher Columbus, edited and translated by J.M. Cohen. This is Columbus's own word. He said himself, I will say that Columbus, complexion, rather ruddy, very black, very dark skin. That's Columbus for you again. Ruddy, he could be a ruddy red or a ruddy gold. We're going to figure that one out shortly. But he's a person of color. Corroborating again, we move to Christopher Columbus, Mariner by Samuel Eliot Morison, page 13 of that book. Christopher Columbus, he had a ruddy complexion. Still keep saying ruddy. Ruddy. Did not say he's a Caucasian, a pale-skinned person. And even if it says he's a fair-skinned, you have to go check it with other source. Because fair means clear of spots and blemish. At that time, smallpox was running rampant and destroying people's complexion and skin. So, in order to say that you had smallpox, side effects, they say you did not have a fair complexion. If you didn't have smallpox, they say you have a fair complexion. And then they would put your complexion after or before the fair to show like a fair ruddy or a ruddy fair, to show that the fair is only describing the condition of the skin and the ruddy is describing the complexion of the skin. That's how it's used in all the books that were written with these 2 words combined. That's how it's used. Let's move on. Admiral of the Sea, A Life of Christopher Columbus by Samuel Eliot Morison. Chapter 2 of that book. There is no mystery, you hear me? There is no mystery about the race of Christopher Columbus. No mystery at all. Everyone knows it. It's just kept from you, but we're going to dig into it. His ruddy complexion. Everyone keeps saying he's ruddy and he's ruddy and he's ruddy. Same book again gives you his son, which is Ferdinand Columbus, who traveled on the expedition with Christopher Columbus. He also inherited his father's ruddy complexion, his dark skin complexion. That's who he was. So, like father, like son. So when the son now wrote the description of the father in the same book, page 44, he says, the Admiral Christopher Columbus, his complexion was light, a vivid red, but we won't move until we know what light is. Because again, people, they write tricky in modern day term, hoping that you don't do the extra step and research to unlock the lies. Light skin. On the left-hand side, what does light skin say? According to the Webster Dictionary, light olive, let's stop right there, olive, go down below, olive, darkly brown, same meaning as tawny. Olivaster, darkly brown, which is the word olive. That's where it derived from. So, going back, is complexion darkly brown. You don't want to use that. Let's go to medium brown. That's light again. All coming back to a brown person. You don't want to use that one. Let's go for another one. Being black. Same word again. You still don't like that one? Let's go for another one. Indigenous person of color. You don't. Any way you take it, you still come back to being a black person, a person of color. So once he's light, he fits right into this description, which comes back to ruddy, being a dark-skinned person, a person of color. Vivid red keeps him as a ruddy red. That's who he is. And I'll give you examples of ruddy red. That's Columbus for you, my people. Dark-skinned person, same as Ferdinand, same as Isabella, same as the Roman Catholic Pope. Dark-skinned, swarthy people. Let's go to page 47 of that book and figure out if anyone else knows this or this is a one-off, because it told you there is no mystery about his race. Everyone knew it. In 1893, everyone knew it because they had a Chicago exposition of Christopher Columbus where all his original paintings of him were on exhibition, vetted by the best of the best to make sure fakes weren't brought to the exposition. So everyone knew what he looked like. Let's get a taste of what some of these portraits were. 71 of them were exhibited at the Chicago Exposition, 1893. They showed what? A swarthy complexion, Christopher Columbus. Swarthy again, what? Dark-skinned person of color. We heard of that from earlier on. Dark-skinned person. Some showed him as olive person. Here's olive again. Darkly brown. He's a dark-skinned brown person. Copper color skin person. That's who Columbus was, my people. Moving forward, the voyage of Viscania. The Mystery of Columbus's Last Ship by Klaus Brickbeimer. Page 66. Columbus was light complexioned. Going back, light olive or medium brown complexion. Being black or indigenous, a person of color. That's his complexion. Pick anyone you want. Still bring him back to what they classify today as a black person, a person of color. That's Columbus, who he was. Cannot be anything else other than that. You're still not done as yet. We go back to The Last Voyage of Columbus by Martin Dugard, because Martin did mention that he was ready, but he also mentioned the exhibition of Columbus's portraits, 1893 exposition in Chicago. All were original paintings, not purported. They were. When the eagle, the deceptive one, took over, he started saying they are not real, and they took them off the shelf. Where are these pictures? Where are these pictures today? How come they're not in any book? How come you don't see them on the internet? How come you don't see them in no museum? Where did these 71 pictures go? Who have them? Where they locked up? Who destroyed them? Where did they go? Were they whitewashed? More than likely they were. But going back to this, some showed Columbus as what? Dark complexion. As what? Dark complexion. Columbus was a black man. Can't be anything else. No matter how much and how far you bury those pictures, the words and the Most High will bring it back to his people. Who was doing what? At what time? He's dark. Olive complexion as well. We done cover olive already. Darkly brown, a person of color. Conclusion, my people. Conclusion. Christopher Columbus was a black man. No doubt. No argument about that one. Ferdinand, King Ferdinand, was a black man. No argument about that one too. Queen Isabella of Spain was a black woman. No arguing that one as well. She and Ferdinand were first cousins. There's something wrong with that, but we won't touch on that today. They're the same color, same color people. The Roman Catholic at that time were people of color, swarthy black people who were trying to move away from being Shemite and follow Lucifer with his Roman Catholic religion. But they were also black people. And the last one, the last conclusion, why every time we run into Ruddy, the person turn out to be black? Why? Why? Is that coincidence so much? Is that coincidence so great? Even though there is no coincidence, it shows a pattern, an intentional pattern, that anytime you see Ruddy, it's a person of color, no matter who or what come and tell you otherwise. They come a whole lot and say, well, it's because his cheeks are ruddy. Him have a red cheek, but he's Caucasian. Lies! We're not swallowing that one. Because of this and because of that. And da. We don't want that explanation. Prove it. But you can't prove it. So let's ask this question. Is it coincident or is it intentional? Every time Ruddy is mentioned, it turns out to be a black person. A person of color. Is that intentional or is it coincidental? I will let you decide, people. Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. It says Adam, to be read in his reference to, is ruddy complexion. Adam was ruddy as well. So Adam is a black man. Ruddy red, which is what they say, or he can be a ruddy gold. Florid is used sometimes to replace ruddy, but it's the same of a red color. But Adam is a ruddy complexion man. He represents the ruddy complexion people. Then we move to ruddy red, ruddy gold. This is the example of ruddy red and ruddy gold. In case you want to visualize what it is they're talking about. Ruddy red on the left side, the reddish tint, the reddish color to the face, the reddish color to the complexion. Oftentimes, a ruddy person will also have the ruddy hair to go with it as well. Same thing with the person on the right, that's a ruddy gold. Oftentimes, they have the ruddy hair to go with it. Not always, but very often. That's the ruddy complexion. Ruddy red, ruddy gold, to give you a visualization of what ruddy is. Now, we go back to Adam. Slavery as it relates to the Negro or African race pertaining to your holy scriptures, your holy Bible, page 16 of that book. Adam signifying red or ruddy or copper color skinned persons. That's who Ruddy is. So anytime you run into Ruddy, it's a copper color skinned person. No disputing that. So Ruddy again, one example. Come back to a copper color skinned person. All the Jewish, the Ashkenaz Jew, they know this. And they create geniuses out of your Hebrew language. The real Semites are ruddy complexion people, copper color skinned people. Most times waking you back up to who you are. Adam, which signify the right conclusion. Don't let anyone tell you anything else. Right conclusion. Adam, the Semite are copper color skin people. So you don't apologize to someone who's not copper color skin. They say you are anti-Semitic. Can't be possible at all. Because you are Semitic to begin with. Whomever you laying that charge against has to be non-Semite. But if the person is a Semite, an Adamic race person, they cannot be that anti-Semitic against themselves. Copper color skin people. Moving forward, Adam and the Pre-Adamites by Dr. M. Doriel. In that book it says, Adam not referring to all race of people, but was one race of people, one distinct group of people are Adam people, and they are what we call the Semitic people. That's who you are, the Semitic people. Don't let anybody tell you no nonsense about Ashkenaz. And if you say Ashkenaz is not Semitic, then you are anti-Semitic. Rubbish and garbage. Throw that in the trash. Semitic people, that's who the Adamic seed are. The Shemites, the Semites are descendants of the Adam seed, which are what? Reddish in color, which are what? The brown races in our modern day time, which agrees back to the races of Europe, which tells you the Semitic people are people of color, dark-skinned people, some darker than some, depending on where and what part of the planet they are on. If they're close to the equator, Spain, Italy, Portugal, they're going to be of a darker complexion than those who are more north. Germany, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, France, they're going to be darker than those people, but they're still of the brown skin race. They're not Caucasian, not no Ashkenaz, not at all. They are Japhetite, none at all. But we're not done. We're going back to this book because, again, this book just backed up everything else that we have read, that the English Jews, they are lighter than the Sephardic Jews, which are darker because they are in Spain, Portugal, Italy, and some are in North Africa. They are darker. The English Jews normally call the Sephardic Jews swarthy to show the difference between them because the English Jews are lighter and they say the Sephardics are swarthy to make the distinction between the two. But the Semites are dark-skinned people. The Semites are dark-skinned people. They are not Ashkenaz, can never be Ashkenaz, will never be Ashkenaz. No matter how much you find people or say people must apologize, they cannot be no Semitic people. Do your research before you make accusation or show the truth, because you have the truth hidden from the real Semites are dark-skinned people. Evidence in every sacred book is going to come back to the same conclusion. Studies are going to come back to the same conclusion. Scientific studies will corroborate that they are dark-skinned people. You know what, people? There was a study done recently by a Jewish doctor to put to rest that the Jewish were the true children of Judah. And you know what he came back with? Wrong. You were not part of Judah. You adopted the religion of Judah. You adopted the custom of Judah. You adopted the practices of Judah. You were not Judah. In fact, it says you are tapestry, little patch here, patch there, of Judah's custom and religion, but you were not. And I'll post that study for you, so you'll always know, and you can always bring to their attention that their own established doctors, their own established scientists has proven that they themselves are not Jew. Put this one to rest, my people. Put this one to rest. Now, more coincidence, because we hurdle past Ruddy again, coming back to a brown, copper color skin person. King James, he is what? His color is blonde and he had a ruddy complexion. Two people say he had this complexion. What is blonde? What is blonde complexion? Golden, light auburn, or pale yellowish brown. Come back again to brown. A light yellowish brown. Brown again. Auburn, the color of auburn, a reddish brown. Brown. King James is brown. Brown. King James is brown, but he's ruddy as well. Coincidence? No. You see the pattern? Every time a person is classified as ruddy, it turns out he is black. Moving forward, King James. This is a shameful whitewashing of King James' picture. This is a shameful whitewashing of King James' picture. If he was truly Caucasian, why do you need to paintbrush his face to make him look white? Look at the picture, people. It looks very harmless. But if you blow up any picture you come across, blow it up, expand it so you can see the pixelation and where the distortion was made because the image was painted over. You can see it slightly here. Look at his face. Look at the brim of his hat. You see that it was painted over. Even look at his hands, his fingers. You'll see the painting over done there. But I blew it up for you so you can take a look to see how they mashed up this picture trying to make it Caucasian when King James was not Caucasian. Shame, shame, shame. That's what I say. 1924 Racial Integrity Act. Here's the outcome of it. Once they passed that act, they had to cover up all history before 1924 of you. So they got busy with the brush and started brushing over everything. They did not have the computerized photoshopping they can do as of lately. So they had to resort to these things because in your fallen state, you weren't testing or challenging or doing anything to prove that these images were false. That's the time we were in slumber, but the Most High has woken up his seed and said, time to know knowledge. Get back your knowledge, as Daniel says. Close up the book, Daniel. Later on, they shall get back all their knowledge, and they shall know who they are. Wake up in the land of their captivity. But that is the Caucasian fake image that's given unto you. He's a ruddy man. Once you know the description of ruddy, they can't fool you with none of this nonsense. Moving forward, the royal stewards, it tells you by Alan Massey, it tells you on page 114. All the Stuart kings are dark-skinned people. All the Stuart kings are dark-skinned people. They cannot be anything else. That's who they are. So, moving forward, here is King James in an untouched picture given to you by the National Portrait Gallery of the UK. These pictures are taken off public display, people. You got to dig for them. You got to study and dig to show yourself worthy to get this knowledge. That's the instruction given to you by the Most High. And a workman and a workwoman who findeth out the truth, share it with your brothers and sisters, and need not be embarrassed to know the truth and to show the truth and to stand up for the truth as the Most High has shown unto you, King James. Person of color, Jacobus Stuartus. A man of color, black man, that is. James again, in his own book, The Works of the Most High, and the mighty Prince James, by the grace of God, the King of Great Britain, France, Ireland, defender, dark-skinned people running all those countries at that time. Dark-skinned man, a black man. Dark-skinned man, not the whitewash image they give you in that first one I showed you. Some of the original survived, and they didn't get a chance to whitewash it. Dark-skinned person, that was King James. There is King James again. Picture from the National Portrait Gallery in the United Kingdom. Jacobus, the Jacobite, the original Jacobite, King James. Does that look like a Caucasian man, people? Does that look like a Caucasian man? No, it does not. That's a black man for you. That's a black man. Can't whitewash no more. That won't work. There's a time limit on the whitewashing. Everything has its time and its place. Cromwell, he's ruddy as well. Cromwell, the Lord Protector, by Antonia Fraser, page 63 of that book. Cromwell is ruddy. Again, coincidence? Or is he going to turn out to be black? Guess which one? He's a black man. They give you later on that he's sanguine. What is sanguine? Reddish brown color. Color of dry blood. They even give you an example of sanguine. He's a ruddy red complexion person, as I've shown you in that image before. He had a copper color nose, another person said. So he's a brown skinned person, just like I've given you in that copper color on the left bottom portion of your screen. Cromwell, sanguine, couple times it mentioned sanguine. Brown skinned person cannot be a person of Caucasian, no matter how much you try to make it be. King Charles I, a study by Walter Phelps Dodge, page 48 of that book. Cromwell, a ruddy man, but he had a what? A face that's swollen and dark. Not dark because he's upset. He's a dark-skinned man. Can't be anything else. He's ruddy, he's sanguine, and he's dark. 3 times. 3 proofs. Lord Protector Oliver Cromwell. Charles I by A.E. McKillian, M.A. We go to page 139 of that book. Cromwell. Complexion, muddy. And sallow. What are those? More tricky words. But we're going to uncover those tricky words. Muddy, dark. Muddy, dark. That's a dark-skinned person again. You want to use sallow? Yellowish color. Tinged with what? Dark yellow. That's Cromwell again. A dark-skinned person. Not Caucasian, no matter how much you try to make him under that 1924 whitewashing told to us by Job 9 verse 24. Shakespeare also was subject to the disguising complexion. Peter Ackroyd, the biography of Shakespeare, 381 of that book. Shakespeare was what? He is of muddy or swarthy complexion. That's why I threw him in. Because isn't Oliver Cromwell here muddy as well? So we can switch out muddy and put in swarthy. You get him back to dark. Same destination. Dark. No matter how much you think he's Caucasian, he is not. Shakespeare again, he was not Caucasian. He's muddy or swarthy, a dark complexion person. That's Shakespeare again. William Shakespeare, the autobiography of Shakespeare, written by himself. Page 57. Shakespeare I, a small, dark man. Want me to say it again? A small, dark man. Let's go to page 58. Further, he said what? Called a little Jew boy when I was growing up. He was a Jew. That's why I'm telling you. Western Europe, including where the Sephardics were, Spain, Italy, Portugal, were Jew. Western Europe, where the lighter skinned, dark skinned people were Jew. Shakespeare, Jewish boy. Where did he grow up? In Holland. That's where his family came from. In Netherlands. That's where his family came from. There were Jews all over Europe because King Shalmaneser I of Assyria had deported them into Britain, and they spread from Britain to all of the Gaul, which is Western Europe. That's how they got there, my people. Queen Anne was not spared as well of the ruddy complexion disguise. Lady Queen Anne, a biography of Queen Anne of England by Margaret Hodges, page 206 of that book. Abel Boyer gave an almost clinical description of Anne. Her complexion, sanguine and ruddy. Again, we go back to sanguine and ruddy. No mystery. We already covered that with Oliver Cromwell. Reddish brown complexion, color of blood, ruddy red or ruddy gold. We already figured that one out. So again, ruddy again, coming back to being a person of color. Cambridge under Queen Anne by J.E.B. Major M.A. Page 368 of that book. We saw the Queen in her chapel. She is what? Copper color. She is what? Copper color. Ruddy turned out again to be copper color. Coincidence or intentional? You see the trend developing, but we're not done yet. King George II by Charles Trench. We go to page 6 of that book. His son, George Augustus, known as Elector Prince with ruddy complexion. It was talking about King George I's son, which is King George II. He had ruddy complexion. Ruddy complexion again. We come back to that word. Move on. Royal discord. Royal discord. The family of George II. Veronica Baker Smith. George II. He was ruddy complexion. Another reference to him being ruddy. Let's see how long this go for. The Captive Princess Sophia Dorothea of Celle by Paul Morand. Let's go to chapter 12. George I could not stand his wife, which is Sophia Dorothea, nor his son George II, because George II had a more swarthy complexion like his mother. Like his mother. Sophia Dorothea. He did not like George II. His son, he said, this child had his mother's complexion, too swarthy. So again, let's figure out who Sophia Dorothy was, why she was swarthy. She is from France and she should be Caucasian, huh? No, she's a Huguenot. Sophia Dorothea, her mother, Eleanor, was a Huguenot, a French woman. A French noblewoman, that's a Huguenot. A French nobleman, that's a Huguenot. Who are Huguenots? We go to Mr. Rutledge of South Carolina by Richard Barry, page 38 of that book. A swarthy man, clearly a Huguenot. A swarthy man, clearly a Huguenot. We already hurdled over swarthy to know that it's a dark-skinned person. So his wife, Sophia Dorothy of Celle, was a swarthy woman. She was much darker than those that were in England and in France. So that's why he said Charles II was too dark. I don't like that child. He's too dark, much darker than we that are in the more northern region that have a lighter complexion. Swarthy Huguenot, that was Sophia Dorothea. Let's proof it out some more. The love of an uncrowned queen, Sophia Dorothea. W.H. Wilkins, page 54 of that book. The ruddy person, Sophia Dorothea, she was what? Brunette. She was what? Tricky word. Brunette. It's not talking about her hair, people. Not her hair, because it says later with a dark brown, almost black hair. So it's not talking about her hair. She was brunette. Whenever you see brunette, stop immediately, because brunette is a dark complexion woman. Hear me? A dark complexion woman. It could mean brown as well. It comes from the German word brun, which is brown. They add on net, brunette, brunette. That means a dark complexion woman. So she was a French woman, a dark complexion woman, which was also ruddy in complexion. So George II was ruddy, like his mother, a dark-skinned woman. George I was what? George's skin, sunburn, so dark, he could pass as what? A Spaniard. He was extra swarthy. He could pass as a Spaniard. That was what they would say to signify that you were dark as the people in south of Europe, which is Spain, Portugal, Italy. George I, Elector and King by Ragnhild Hatton. Describe him as that, page 172. Moving on, we go back to the love of an uncrowned queen, Sophia Dorothea by W.H. Wilkins, page 39 of that book. He was dark. That's George I for you. He was dark. His son was ruddy. His father was dark. His mother was dark. So ruddy son means a dark-skinned son, George II. His father was dark. Gentleman of Germany. The Germans were dark-skinned people as well. Just as what Benjamin Franklin was complaining about. We move to Beethoven because it doesn't stop there. All over Europe, dark-skinned people whitewashed as a result of the 1924 Racial Integrity Act, which spread its wings to the entire planet. Beethoven, as I knew him, a biography by Anton Felix Schindler, page 454 of that book. Beethoven, his complexion is ruddy. Ruddy. What are the odds Beethoven is going to turn out to be a black man? What are the odds, people? 100% he will turn out to be a black man. Beethoven, biography of a genius by George R. Marek, page 49 of that book. He was described as brown complexion. He was so dark, he was called a Spaniard, just like George I. They are so dark. People say, you're too swarthy. We are going to call you Spaniard. That's the nickname Beethoven got because he was so dark. Well, another example of ruddy being a black man. We got too many examples for this to be coincidence. But we're not done yet. Beethoven, a critical biography by Vincent d'Indy. Page 4 of that book. Page 4 of that book. Kapellmeister Ludwig van Beethoven. That was his father. A painter portrayed, depicted the father of Beethoven as what? Dark complexion. Therefore, Beethoven is going to be dark complexion. Go down some more on page 5. Beethoven too was what? Dark complexion. He was so dark, they nicknamed him Spaniard because he was so dark. Where was Beethoven from? His family was from Netherlands. They are black people. They are in Netherlands. Then his other family was from Antwerp, Belgium. Black people controlling Belgium. Western Europe, my people. You were all over there, dark-skinned people, before you got supplanted by the Caucasian at the end of World War I, and then your rule totally ended after 1924 when the U.S. took the charge to make sure that all your history was whitewashed, erased, and you became black Negro. This is Beethoven. This is the joke of it now, people. This is such a joke to see that we were so much in a slumber, so much in a sleep. All these nonsense could have passed over our head and it went unnoticed. This is a dark complexion man as portrayed in Beethoven, a pictorial biography by Erich Valentin. He was dark. That's what it says. But the picture on top was put there. That was in the book. He was dark. Does this look like a dark man, people? Does that look like a dark man? But the author had the gall to put, hey, he was dark, which is true, but then that picture to throw on with it. Again, hoping that you will see the picture, skip over the fact that he was dark. Dark man, whitewash picture, shameful picture of a whitewash image of Beethoven, telling you that he was dark on that same page that they're putting a Caucasian image. Shame, shame, shame. This is Beethoven for you, giving back the true portrait in that book. Beethoven in 1814. Portraits of Beethoven, the dark complexion that led to him being nicknamed what? The Spaniard. The Spaniard because he was so dark. Clearly evident that he was dark. Getty has the image, but they won't give it to you. They didn't give it to you until now when the Most High is releasing back his knowledge on his people. Beethoven was a dark-skinned man. That's who he was. So dark, he said he was Spaniard, as dark as Isabella and Ferdinand and the Roman Catholics in Italy. That's the same complexion they had. It is known that Beethoven was a dark-skinned man. It is known that he was a man of color. Let's cross over the Atlantic Ocean. Let's cross the pond over from Western Europe to America and see if the lie continue with the ruddy complexion. George Washington, history of the George Washington bicentennial celebration. Page 225 of that book. George Washington, height 6 feet 2 inches, ruddy complexion. So it doesn't change. So it didn't change. Whether it was talking about people in Western Europe or talking about people in North America. George Washington, ruddy. What are the chances that George Washington is a person of color, a black man? It still stays at 100%. Martha Washington, First Lady of Liberty, by Helen Bryan, page 85 of that book. George, he was ruddy complexion again, ruddy, black man, I tell you, still 100% chance that he is a person of color. George Washington, a biography by John R. Alden, page 11 of that book. A British officer who met Washington later reported that George Washington had a dark complexion. Odds are still 100% he's a person of color. When you hear ruddy, doesn't change from Europe, even in America. Let's go to another book, George Washington, a biography by Douglas Southall Freeman, volume 2 of that book. Young Washington on page 239. Doesn't change. Van Horn description of George Washington was tall, we know that, 6 feet 2, and dark, a black person, a person of color. Which tall officer matched up with that dark description? George Washington, the only one that matched up with that description. Colonel George Washington was a dark officer, a person of color, a black man in your modern day description for people of color. Page 240 of that book. Londrohone asked Kennedy for a description of the Virginian who they were talking about, and he said, Washington, said the captain, was a black complexion person, a black man. Still 100% odds that he turned out to be black when they say ruddy. Did not change. Robert E. Lee did not change. The odds didn't change as well. He didn't change. Robert E. Lee. A portrait by Margaret Sanborn. Page 389 of that book. Lee, he was what? Ruddy complexion. Ruddy complexion. You see clear before it? That means he did not have any smallpox symptoms. So she put clear, ruddy complexion. What are the odds? What are the odds? Robert E. Lee is a black man. 100% still, if you're a betting person. Moving forward, R.E. Lee, a biography by Douglas Southall Freeman, volume 1. He wrote about Washington, that Washington was black. Do you think it changed for Robert E. Lee? No, it did not. Page 98, Lieutenant Lee was a young engineer at that time. He had a ruddy complexion. Ruddy again. Odds 100% it's going to be a person of color. A black man. Page 440 of that book. He turned into a florid, as I told you. Florid and ruddy are the same. It means of a red color, a bright red color. Doesn't change the fact that he's still a person of color. Robert E. Lee, a biography by Emery M. Thomas, chapter 6 of that book. Go straight to chapter 6. Lee was tall, just like George Washington, and dark, just like George Washington. Dark. That's Robert E. Lee. Same thing occurred in Western Europe. Ruddy, and it turns out to be dark. Doesn't make a difference. This is the shameful whitewashing image of Robert E. Lee. It said he was dark, ruddy, so we expect someone dark to be on our screen right now. Neither images on the left or on the right are of any dark person. These are colorized, whitewashed images of Robert E. Lee. But I'm going to show you how to discern which is real and which is not. Let's start with the image being used by Wall Street Journal. Let's start with that lie first. Look at Robert E. Lee's face. Very, very bright, very, very white. They turned up the exposure on his face and on his hair, but he is not that exposure. Look at his ears. Look at his ears, and that will tell you the real complexion, because someone forgot to turn up the exposure on his ears. His ears color does not match his face color. Can't be. If anything, your ears should be lighter than your face because your face get more exposure to the sun than your ears, unless he was sitting on his side with his ears to the sun, get his ears that dark in comparison to his face, which is not the case. Another clue on that same picture, behind his ears, that's the real color of his hair. Dark color. They turned up the exposure on his hair so much, his hair looked white all the way up to the mid portion of his ears, and then the lower portion of his ears, his hair is dark. See? So his ears and his hair at the back of his head, dark, but his face and the hair on top of his head, white. No match at all. Can't work anymore. Let's go to the picture on the right hand side, used by history.com, telling lies as history. Lies as history. But let's straighten that one out right now. Look at the elephant on his hands. Look at the elephant on his hands. His hands are black. How can the hand match back with the face unless he has his hand dipped into charcoal while he was taking this picture? His hand color doesn't match his face color. Someone again forgot to do the hands in the photoshopping. But these pictures, people, shameless whitewashing of people of color. Shame, shame, shame. I tell you, let's move to the real image that matched the description, which says Lee was dark. That's the real image on the right-hand side, has given back onto us by Lord Henfield when he properly restored and colorized the picture of Robert E. Lee. That's the real picture, people. Dark skin complexion. Dark skin complexion. Undeniably dark skin. His face matched with his ears. You hear me? His face matched with his ears. No more distortion. One color for his ears and another color for his face and another color for his nose. What kind of patchwork are you doing? Do it properly. This is the true image when you're not trying to change. When you're not trying to change things to what they are not. Dark skin Robert E. Lee. But we got warning. We got warned that the eagle was going to be given full possession of earth, which is America, and the eagle was going to run wild with changing images. But with every good thing, with every dolly house, it has to come to an end. There's a time limit given unto these changers, given unto the eagle. So people, don't fret yourself thinking you're gonna be in bed with these wicked eagle for a long time. No, the Most High gave them a time limit. And guess what, people? What are the odds? The time limit ended. 100% the time limit ended. They have reached their limit according to the Most High's timetable, not man timetable. This is the new Roman eagle on the back of the US $1 bill. There's your eagle right in front of you, using your Egyptian tradition against you. That 13-point star. Egyptian star above the eagle head, telling him how to use the arts on you to keep you under bondage. For 400 years, he used that star against you, but he ran out of points on the star. All the star points have already been used up because the Most High said, I give you 400 years. 400 years. After that, your time done. Wind down time. You can wind down voluntarily or involuntarily. Guess which one he chose? He chose the involuntary wind down. 13 leaves or 13 arrows or 13 stripes cannot save you from what is coming. Obadiah 1 verse 4 tells you, he shall exalt himself during the 400 years, and especially when the Caucasian took over the eagle role in 1924, he started to exalt himself Even more, because the Most High told you, the last 2 or 3 that I say for the end of the eagle, they're gonna be wickeder more than anyone that came before them. They're gonna be wicked because they really root themselves in, saying, we're not going to leave voluntarily. Though you exalt yourself, O eagle, you hear me? Though you exalt yourself, O eagle, I shall uproot you, and you set your nest high with fallen angels in the lower 4th dimension. Yes, you did, but that can't help you either. Then I will bring you down. You've been guaranteed a brought down. Can you take that to the bank and bank it? Yes, 100% certain. It's going to happen. You can't get help from old eagle that has transgressed against the Most High law in Hosea 8 verse 1. And you can't get any help from Lucifer and the fallen angels that are in the Ephesians 6 beings. No help coming for you. You're on your own because they know the rule. Once you reach the point where the Most High has struck a light among the children of Israel, time's up, time's up, time's up, time's up. I know it, Coeb. Signal the start of your demise, where that new world order has to come in. Novus Ordos Seclorum, that has to come in, the new world order of the children of light. So once they know who they are, once they find out who they are, that they're represented by the Egyptian star, your time done, eagle, your time is done. When those people strike up their light and get their election glow. That's why I'm telling you, Israel, don't worry yourself about who is Semite and who is Shemite, and Ashkenaz saying he's Semite and he's Shemite and he's a whole bunch of things. No way he's going to know he is Shemite fully until that light come, the real light come. When the Most High open up the skies, remove the veil and your spiritual body, dome down on top of you and transform you into that electron being that is on fire from your head to all down to your foot. Then he shall know, whoa, I've been mistaken. I am not no Ashkenaz Semitic Jew, but leave him to his own time, because the Most High said, Second Ezra 7 verse 75, the Most High said to you, my Lord, when Ezra asked, show me when you will renew your creation. If you go back to my previous message, which is telling you that you had a journey from Egypt to Britain, and then from Britain to America. Every time the Most High renew his creation, he set into place a cataclysmic event which comes with earthquake and then followed by a magnetic North Pole shift, a magnetic North Pole movement. Then it finish off with the destroyer, the spoiler, the cosmic fire to cleanse the land and start up back a new creation, which is scheduled to start up within 2024 to 2026. That's your time frame. But the eagle time is done before that. His time done 2020 when it said wrap up time. But guess which option he chose? Involuntary wrap up. So we go to the 4th book of Ezra 11, which is also called the 2nd book of Ezra. 2nd Ezra 11, which is also in your Holy Bible, my people. It's in your Apocrypha section. Go to your Apocrypha and follow along with me. Verse 44. And the Most High looked upon his time. You hear me? The Most High looked upon the eagle's time. He looked already on it. And behold, they are ended. And behold, the eagle's time is ended. Time done. So don't let the eagle fool you and you go latch on to a wagon that's already done. Let go the eagle. Let go the eagle and move back to the Most High. You are the people of the Most High. Oh, children of Israel, Judah, Jacob, Ephraim and my Gentile, my Caucasian, who want to hold on to the truth. You don't want to be latched on to someone whose time has ended. The eagle is ages, its time, its rule has completed. It's done, my people. It's done. Eagle, you shall surely disappear. You eagle, I'm not talking about some other eagle or some eagle in Rocky Mountain. I'm talking about the eagle in the United States of America that exalts itself as Esau, and it has backative in Rome by the Roman Catholic Church, and it has backative in the lower fourth dimension with fallen angels and fallen beings. Your time is done. You shall disappear. Did it say maybe disappear? Could be disappear? Very likely. No, it says surely you shall disappear, O eagle. Jumping to 46, verse 46. So that the whole earth, which is America, can be freed of you, O eagle. Can be freed of you, O eagle. That's what's coming your way. You've been put on notice, but the people didn't know, and the people don't know that you're on notice. But now they know. If you're listening to this message, your eagle has been warned. He knows his time better than me and you, but he doesn't want to let you know. So you will fall off that cliff with him. But this is the warning, children of Israel. If you're hearing this message, time for you to be free. The violence, O eagle, O Esau, that you have done against Jacob did not go unnoticed. The violence that you have done knowingly against your children of Israel shall not go unpunished. The violence and the conglomeration you made in Psalms 83 against the children of Israel shall not go unpunished. Shall not go, O eagle. This planet, America, shall be refreshed. America shall be relieved of when you are gone. You shall be gone. That's promised unto you by the Most High and the Lord. So people, go back to 2nd Ezra 11, 45 through 46, so you know what your Father is saying to you at all times. The last wickedness and action of the eagle, because he's on notice. He's on notice, but you don't know that he got his eviction paper. So he's not telling anyone. So he's going to quietly, or try to quietly, sneak in his wickedness and capture your soul on his way out. Children of Israel, pay heed to what your Father is bringing back to you. 2nd Ezra 12, verse 24. And the inhabitants of earth, which is America, and the rest of the planet, which is ruled by the eagles that are in America, were more oppressively than all the other presidents that came before, all the other rulers that came before. The last two that you're with right now, you're stuck with them, but now you know they're on their way out. Don't let them bring you down with them. Those last two, therefore they are called the heads of the eagle, the ones that are going down in flames with the eagle. For it is they who shall sum up, who shall conclude his wickedness. That's why I told you, the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. The last two are running up and down now with you. So take heed and don't let their wickedness fool you. They shall sum up and conclude the wickedness and perform his last act of wickedness that he's ready to put out on you, O children of Israel. But it shall not work. Be strong. Be of courage in your Father. Your Father said, you shall be protected if you draw upon me, Most High Allah, and the Lord, though Melchizedek, Jehovah, whom I have sent as my representative to you. Draw upon that and draw on the energy of the Messiah. Both of them sent. The Lord and the Most High sent you a Messiah, Prince Louis, for you to draw on his energy. so these things won't be a part of you. Verse 30, my people. Verse 30. It is these whom the Most High have kept. It is these who the Most High has kept for the eagle's end. Eagle is ending, people. Eagle is ending, people. Let me read one more time so you know that the eagle has an end time. It's been given to him already. He knows it, but he didn't send the memo down to your department. But I'm sending it to you. The Most High has kept for the eagle's end. The eagle is not running forever and forever. No way. The eagle is temporary and its time done from 2020, October of 2020. The eagle time is done when the silence in heaven, as spoken of in Revelation, was done. So it's 30 minutes of silence done. The last two, their rule, their reign was brief. What brief mean? Not the thing that you wear as undergarment. This one means short. Short. His time is short. His time is short. Limited time. So his time was cut short because he's trying to perform too much wickedness, and his wickedness has reached its limit, and it's time for you to go. And it was full of violent disturbances, moving, shaking, agitating, disrupting the eagle's 5 evil divine laws that he set up on your land, my people. 5 evil. Come and set up false Jesus, white Jesus. Give it to you as your God, your Father, your Son, your Holy Ghost. Lies. Took your land, took your economics that you normally reap from the land, took that, made it his own, and poisoned everything that he can possibly poison on your land. Then he took you from being a nation of people. In Psalms 83, he said, let's cut them off from being a nation of people. Took that away from you. One more of his evil 5 divine laws. Then he said, let's form laws. Let's form laws and rules and armies so we can oppress, suppress, and beat down anyone that goes against us, the children of Israel or anyone external outside of United States of America. We can subdue them all. Then he give you bad food. He gave you husk to eat. All kind of GMO plant to eat. Change up your food. Give you processed food. Fast food, and give you meat to eat as much as you can eat, and have your cooking up food. All kind of different things that the Most High gave you instruction. You should not do. Should not do it. So all these violence disturbances coming his way. 2nd Ezra 15, verse 7, verse 8. Now that sums up who he is and what's going to happen to him. God, vengeance on the wicked who took over earth, which is America. The wicked, talking about the same wicked. The eagles, talking about the eagle as well. Therefore, your harmful deed, eagle, have reached its limit. Let me read it in case the eagle is sitting in the back row and didn't hear me that well. Therefore, eagle, your harmful deeds have reached its limits. Can't go anymore. Stop. You stop right there. Stop sign. You can't go any further with your harmful deeds. That's why I can tell you people. That's why I can tell you people. The eagle has an end. It reaches its limit, and he doesn't want to tell you. He wants to drag you down with him. Be open to instruction, people. Be open to the counsel of instruction that your Father and the Lord is bringing back to you. Know that the eagle has no more reign. So don't let the eagle fool you about this and about that. You have to bow down to me. You have to answer to my mandate. You have to do this. You have to do that. No way. Your Father said this is done. The limit has been reached. Therefore, your father brings you back to the beginning of 2nd Ezra. 2nd Ezra 1 verse 9, I talk to you, my people. How long shall I endure you? That's what the Father asks. That's what the Lord is asking of you. How long shall I endure you in your unbelief, in going out and finding knowledge about your Father, making sure that you know as much about your Father knowledge-wise, so you can believe based on your knowledge, not just based on blind faith, but based on your knowledge. How long shall I endure you, not to seek after knowledge, when I told you over and over, you have been put in captivity, you have been put in bondage because of lack of knowledge? Get that knowledge now, my people. How long shall I endure the children of Israel, on whom I have bestowed such great benefit, because he has chosen you, my people? But you can't just get in because you're chosen. You gotta choose back the Lord and the Most High. Match back your energy with them. They choose you, you choose them. They can't choose you if you're not choosing them. Move back to your Father. Put your thoughts back to your Father. Put your thoughts back to what your Father wants you to do. He has many messengers, many prophets out there right now, giving you information. Pay heed. For their sake, I have done what? I have overthrown many kings and queens. So, any kings and queen you have right now, do you think they can stop you? Do you think they can stop you at this time when your Father said their time is done? You think they can stop you? For their sake, I have overthrown many kings, including the kings you have now, not the spiritual kings, those physical kings, because he already sent you a king that is now a prince, waiting for that time for him to be your king. That's the king that he set up over you. Not the fake one, whether you want to throw them in England, whether you want to throw them in Belgium, whether you want to throw them in Netherlands, wherever you want to put them. That's not the king that he sent for you. He's gonna throw them down, overthrow and destroy their kingdom. I have struck down Pharaoh. Pharaoh is president, if you want your today equivalent. Pharaoh. I have struck down the president and his parliament and his shadow government and his military complex. That's his servants, and the other people that are running is evil by divine laws. So let me read it again. I have destroyed, I have struck down the president of the eagle United States of America and all his helpers. I have struck them down. I have struck them down for you. And I have destroyed all his army. So I'm telling you, no matter what army he sends your way, no matter how big he wants to build a military complex, that will be struck down as well. Your Father giving warning on top of warning. They know it. You need to know it as well, so you don't latch yourself on to the eagle when it's going down. I have destroyed all nations before your eyes during Moses' time, when that same magnetic pole shift, the same fire that I sent, at that time, I scatter all of them. I destroy all of them. And the same thing I'm going to do at your time, because that time period has been reached. 3,240 years has been reached. And Pharaoh and the king and the nation, they all have to be struck down. That's what's coming their way, my people. That's what's coming your way that you need to know, so you don't latch yourself on to the eagle. When I led your people 3,240 years ago out of Egypt, which I'm going to lead you now out of United States of America, which is the modern day Egypt. America has been known as Egypt. America has been known as the promised land. America has been known as the eagle. America has been known as Atlantis. Oriental Masonry by Dr. Swinburne has told you that already. So it's known. They went over to the Middle East, North Africa, and built another kingdom of Egypt after Atlantis fell. But Egypt was originally in America, Earth, Turtle Island. That's the original Egypt. And it's coming back to be now the current and standing and leading Egypt. Now let's read this in your modern day words. When I lead you out of America and I'm going to bring you to my holy city, Azareth, which is in America, now hidden from you, but will be shown to you when the Most High remove the veil. That's when you're going to light up and see your Mount Sinai, which is Azareth, your holy city. And I bent down the heavens. I brought down that grid. I brought down that veil. I brought down that boundary, that barrier, so you can see the heavenly kingdom. And I gave you earthquake when I shook that earth. Moved all the world. Everybody was moved and shaken up. They had to scatter, and that's where I overthrow and bring down many nations and kingdoms and made the ground tremble because I started to move that pole which spin the crust of the planet into a new location. That's what happened to you. So that explains the troublous time. Daniel warned you, you're going to get troublous time like you've never seen before. So things are going to happen that you never experienced. And I'm keeping you focused on the spiritual ones, the ones coming from your Father, which involve natural disaster, war, and the other stuff. That's Lucifer and the fallen angels fighting among themselves. That's not your Father. That's someone else fighting against his own kind because they're going down. They're going to fight one another, hate one another, and try to kill one another. But the Most High is sending you fire, earthquake, wind, ice. You see, those are all natural elements. That's what's coming your way to make sure the children of Israel are brought out safely and destroy, overthrow Pharaoh, kings, and nation, and scatter them. Scatter them like when you turn on the light in the middle of the night and the roaches run in every direction. That's what's coming their way. Do not be a part of it. Before a new creation can happen, people, these destructions have to occur. That's what I told you earlier, and now I'm giving you back that proof. The North Magnetic Pole is going to release its energy and spin the magnetic pole to a new location, which is going to be in the Sudan Basin in Africa. Your magnetic North Pole is now in Hyperborea, that's in the Russia-Alaska area. It's moving to Sudan Basin, Africa. It's going to cause cataclysmic event, and you are going to be shaken up. But the children of the Most High, who did not tie themselves to the eagle, shall be pulled off the surface of the planet and taken to Azareth to be safe and protected while these things are occurring. Then, after those things occur, the red Kachina, which is the fire, shall step in and cleanse the planet, cleanse the rest of the world of all the destruction that has been done to it, starting out fresh with a new creation. Explained to you in one breath. Therefore, that program of existence has started, and the eagle has to get out the way, whether by voluntarily or involuntarily, before that fire shows up. So, my people, you can go and read the 9 oracle prophecy that tells you that change is coming. It is coming. It shall not be delayed. It's on a time schedule. The spoiler, aka the destroyer, aka the red kachina, has told to your forefathers in the Hopi prophecy. Yes, the Hopi was you. People of color, they told you the prophecy that every city shall burn and purge and be refreshed. Everything shall be destroyed that was of eagle's creation. We got to get rid of all his creation that cannot go into your new creation, a new program of existence. Therefore, 2 Ezra 12 verse 3 tells you, and I looked, and what did you see, O Ezra? And I looked, what did you see, O prophet Ezra? The whole body of the eagle was burnt up. What did you see, my people? The whole body of the eagle was burnt up. Burn, as I tell you. The eagle shall not be in existence to go into no new spiritual world. The eagle has an end time. The eagle has a burning time. Prepared for it if it doesn't repent of his way, if it doesn't change the course that it's going into. The eagle is promised this. Read it over and over and over, my people. Your father tells you what's going to happen to the eagle. Once you know who the eagle is, then you just slap their name on top of that eagle, and then you got the full meaning, the whole body, the 5 foundation, the 5 evil laws that they have set up, and the whole United States of America structure was burnt. War, that's the man-made version of it. Nuclear bomb released on America. That's the man-made portion of it. But the next portion of it is cosmic fire, burning it up. Cosmic fire, red kachina, spoiler, fearful constellation, same name, coming to America to destroy it, to purify the land. So the new creation, the new program of existence can come into play, and the eaglets, the American, shall be terrified. So all the 2 heads of the eagle, the 2 presidents that are left, that are mouthing off, they shall be exceedingly terrified when the Most High wraps up all that has been shown unto you that will become of the eagle. So don't join up. O children of Israel, with no eagle. Stand strong, O children of Israel. Stand strong, O children of Judah. Stand strong, O children of Jacob. Stand strong, O children of Ephraim. Stand strong, O my Gentile, Caucasian brothers and sisters who have tied themselves back to the Most High. Stand strong in the name of the Most High. Allah, Yah, Yod-He, Vahu-He, Elohim, Neta, God in her modern day name, and in the name of the Lord Thoth, Melchizedek, Yahweh, who has struck that light among the children of Israel, waking them up. Say, time for you to get up. Time for you to raise up yourself from the slumber and move forward to being my children of light. Stand strong, O children of Israel. Stand strong, O Prince Louis, in the name of the Most High and the Lord who has sent you and anointed you forever and forever and forever.